Have you ever had one of those moments where a split-second decision completely rewrites your life story? That's what happened to me. One party invitation, one night, one guy whose face I couldn't quite remember, and here I am, 5 years later, living a life I never could have imagined. But let me tell you how one graduation party changed everything, and how sometimes life's biggest plot twists come with the most beautiful endings. I'm Natalie. Back in 2018, I was a 21-year-old marketing student at UT Austin. Picture a tall, athletic girl with wild curls that refused to behave no matter how much coconut oil I used. Dark brown eyes that my grandmother always said could see right through people, and skin the color of rich mahogany. Life was pretty good. I had a steady boyfriend, Derek, a marketing internship lined up for the summer, and big dreams of conquering the advertising world. "Girl, you need this," my best friend Kara insisted, rifling through my closet one summer evening. I wasn't in the party mood. Derek and I had been fighting again. He wanted me to move to Houston with him after his graduation, but I still had a year left at UT. "Jake's throwing this huge graduation party," she explained, scrolling through her phone. I almost said no. Almost. But something about that night felt different. Maybe it was the way Derek had been distant lately, or maybe it was just fate pushing me towards something I couldn't see yet. The apartment was on the third floor of one of those modern complexes near campus. Music pulsed through the walls. Post Malone, Drake, The Weeknd, a perfect mix of everything that defined our college years. I wore my favorite lavender top that floated when I moved, paired with white ripped jeans. String lights cast everything in this dreamy glow, faces blurring into a kaleidoscope of smiles and laughter. I didn't know most of the people there, friends of friends, people from different departments, all celebrating the end of another college year. "Tequila shots," Kira announced, pulling me toward the kitchen where a group was gathering around the counter. One shot became two, became three. The room started to spin in that pleasant way that makes everything feel magical. People weaved in and out of my vision. Faces I knew, faces I didn't. Conversations merged into the beat of the music. I remember fragments of that night like pieces of a dream. The balcony where the Austin air felt thick with possibility. Someone offered me their jacket, a stranger with kind eyes and a warm laugh. I didn't catch his name over the music, or maybe I did, and the tequila washed it away. We talked for hours, or maybe minutes. Time feels fluid when you're drunk enough to believe in forever. He told me he was a senior too, or a friend of a senior. Something about computer science and job offers in different cities. The string lights danced across his face. But even then, his features seemed to shift and change like shadows on water. I remember the heat of his skin against mine as we swayed to a slow song, hearts beating in rhythm with the bass. The way his fingers traced patterns on my arm, each touch electric. Later, much later, we found ourselves in one of the bedrooms. Everything was a blur by then. Soft sheets and whispered words. It was reckless, passionate, fueled by tequila and the invincible feeling of youth. I woke up with the sun painting unfamiliar walls gold, my head pounding and mouth dry as desert sand. The room was empty, the sheets cool beside me. Through the fog of my hangover, I tried to piece together the night. Flashes of touch, of whispered words, of passion in the dark. But his face, like trying to catch smoke. When I asked Kira later who he was, she just shrugged. Some friend of Jake's friend, I think. Everyone was pretty wasted. Jake and his roommates moved out the next week, scattering to different cities for their new jobs. The party became just another story, a wild night to eventually forget. A week later, Derek and I had the talk we'd been avoiding. "I can't do long distance," he said, sitting across from me at our favorite coffee shop. "And I can't leave school," I replied. It was clean, mutual, almost too easy. What I didn't tell him was how that party night kept playing in my mind, how guilt gnawed at me even though we'd basically been over already. 4 weeks after the party, my world tilted on its axis. I sat on my bathroom floor, staring at a pregnancy test. Then another, and another. All positive. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as memories from that night flashed through my mind. Fragments of a conversation, a smile, a touch. But his face, still a blur. No name, no number, not even a clear memory of what he looked like. Telling my parents was the hardest thing I had ever done. Our living room had never felt so small as it did that evening. Mom's coffee cup clattered against the saucer when I said the words, "I'm pregnant." The silence that followed was deafening. Dad's newspaper crinkled as he slowly folded it, his hands steady but his face unreadable. "Who?" Mom finally asked. When I couldn't answer, when I tried explaining about the party, about my foggy memory, she closed her eyes, tears sliding down her cheeks. "How could you be so irresponsible, natively?" Dr. Jane became an unexpected source of strength. During one of my early appointments, she noticed some complications that could affect future pregnancies. "Listen," she said, her kind eyes serious behind wire-rimmed glasses. "This baby is developing beautifully. Sometimes life's biggest blessings come in unexpected packages." Her words helped settle something in my heart I hadn't even known was unsettled. Depression crept in slowly, like shadows lengthening at sunset. I withdrew from friends, ignored Kira's calls. Spent hours scrolling through social media, looking at photos from that party, trying to piece together who he might have been. But the faces in the blurry background never became clearer, and eventually, I had to stop torturing myself with names. My daughter Ava was born on a stormy February morning in 2019. The moment they placed her in my arms, all my fears and doubts melted away. She had my nose, my lips, with someone else's dimples. Life settled into a new normal. I finished my degree, landed a job at a digital marketing firm in Austin. Mom watched Ava while I worked, and slowly our relationship healed. I even tried dating again. There was Michael, a lawyer who couldn't understand why I always put Ava first, and James, who seemed perfect until he admitted he didn't want kids. Then came the Chicago Marketing Conference in 2021. I almost didn't go. Leaving Ava, even for a few days, felt impossible. But Mom insisted. She said I needed to think about my career too. So there I was, in a sleek conference center, trying to look professional while secretly missing my daughter's goodnight kisses. "These conferences always have terrible coffee," a voice behind me said. I turned around and there he was, tall, with kind eyes and an easy smile. "I'm Matt," he said, extending his hand. Something about him felt familiar, but I couldn't place it. We ended up talking through the entire coffee break, and he asked me to dinner that evening. That dinner changed everything. Matt was different from anyone I dated since Ava. He was funny, genuine, and actually listened when I talked about my daughter. "Single mom?" he'd asked, with no judgment in his voice. That must be challenging. The way he said it, not as a deal breaker, but as admiration, made my heart flutter in a way it hadn't in years. But there was something else too, something that made my skin prickle with an emotion I couldn't name. When he smiled, showing those familiar dimples, a strange unease washed over me. Over the next few months, we dated long distance. Weekly video calls turned into daily texts, turned into weekend visits between Austin and Dallas, where he worked. He was patient, understanding when I had to cancel because Ava was sick, or when our dates had to revolve around my daughter's schedule. "I want to meet her," he said one day, "when you're ready." The words filled me with both excitement and inexplicable anxiety. The first time Matt met Ava, my world shifted imperceptibly. She was playing with her favorite stuffed unicorn in our living room when he walked in. I watched them together, my heart racing. The way they both scrunched their noses when they laughed, the identical dimples flashing. We fell into an easy rhythm, movie nights with Ava cuddled between us, weekend trips to the zoo, impromptu dance parties in the kitchen. Each day brought new moments that made my breath catch. The way they both talked with their hands when excited, how they both furrowed their brows in concentration while coloring. I caught my mom staring at them once, her expression unreadable. "He reminds me of someone," she said softly. "I just can't put my finger on who." One evening, while Ava was at Mom's, Matt and I were looking through old photos on my phone. "Wait," he said, stopping at a group shot from Jake's graduation party. "I was at this party." The world seemed to stop. "What?" I whispered, my heart pounding. He zoomed in on the photo, pointing to a blurry figure in the background. Memories crashed over me like waves. The balcony, the string lights, the tequila shots. The balcony, I said slowly. You offered me your jacket. Matt's face changed as recognition dawned. Lavender top, he said softly. You were wearing a lavender top. His hands were shaking as he pulled out his phone, scrolling through his own old photos until he found one from that night. We sat in stunned silence, pieces falling into place. The cologne I'd never forgotten, the dimples Ava shared with him, the inexplicable feeling of familiarity that first day at the conference. All those little moments of déjà vu, all those similarities I tried to ignore. There's something else you need to know, I said, my voice trembling. I pulled up a photo of Ava from the night she was born. Look at the date. I watched as Matt did the math, his face cycling through confusion, shock, and something else. Wonder? She's mine, he whispered. When I nodded, tears spilling down my cheeks, he pulled me close. All this time, he said, his voice thick with emotion. She was right here. All those times I played with her. I felt that connection. Some part of me must have known. The next few months were a whirlwind of emotions, adjustments, and beautiful moments. Matt moved to Austin, unable to bear being away from his newfound daughter. We told Ava gradually, age-appropriately, letting her get used to calling him Daddy when she felt ready. The first time she did, spontaneously during breakfast, Matt had to leave the room to cry. A year later, Matt proposed in our backyard, with Ava helping him hold the ring. We're already a family, he said, those familiar dimples flashing. Our wedding was small, intimate, with Ava as our flower girl, proudly telling everyone this was her mommy and daddy's special day. Life has a funny way of working out sometimes. That random party, that forgotten night that I thought had derailed my life, was actually just the beginning of the most beautiful detour. These days, our home is filled with laughter, love, and the kind of happiness I never thought I'd find. And when people ask how we met, well, we have quite a story to tell. If you're out there wondering if your story is over, if life has taken you down a path you never expected, just wait. Sometimes the best chapters are yet to come, and sometimes the person you're meant to find has been there all along, just waiting for the right moment to be discovered. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life love stories that prove truth is often more remarkable than fiction. Share your own stories of unexpected love in the comments below. Until next time, keep believing in the magic of second chances, or in my case, first chances that come back around.